He did the rooms and he did the main space.
That is it. It's two different designers, and neither the two met.
OK, we'll give our marks for next house at the end of the show. Dan, what have we got next?
Well, it's tough when you're a country boy at heart, but work forces you to live in the city. Our next owner thinks he has a solution. It doesn't look much like the countryside, so for a man who's always wanted to live in a field, this old Victorian bakery may seem like a curious buy. But for a photographer based in London, the space and freedom this building offers was as near to the great outdoors as city space gets. Reluctant to change its character, but keen to make it a home, he added a kitchen and a bathroom on the ground floor and converted the storage area above the main room into a living room. His strong anti-design sentiment, he loathes the idea of off-the-peg chic, is evident in his favourite part of the house.
My name's Tim. This is my home. It's an indoor cycle track, it's a badminton court, and of course it's my garden. I've always actually wanted to live in a field, which is a bit tricky in London. And I was in a sort of fairly standard terraced London house. And I walked into this place and just did what you're not meant to do when an estate agent's with you, is just sort of this inane grin and fall to your knees and say, I'm in love, you know. I couldn't resist it, really. I've kept it as a canvas quite blank, so I've still got my field. I still don't feel my impact on it has been huge. If you're going to live in a field or wherever you're going to live, you've got to meet the space in the middle. You can't walk in and go, right, I'm going to rip everything out and get out the MDF and the spray paint and turn it into my place. If it's got its own character, you should meet that character rather than try and paint yourself all over it. It's a dining room, it's a music room, it's actually a badminton court. I haven't got the net up at the moment, but it's 1 foot narrower than a proper badminton court. If I'd filled it full of sofas and widescreen TVs, it would have shrunk the space, and all I would have is a large living room. So it's become much more multifaceted, I suppose. Well, when I first walked into it, it wanted to be lived in. It wasn't a home. It felt, well, like an empty warehouse, I guess. For instance, up here, this mezzanine level was just a storage space. What's lovely about that is it's quite snug. So you go up there in the winter and you feel like you're cosy, even though actually you're in a very, very big space. This was a plain wall, which was very nice, and I like the brickwork, but the sun sets over there, and because it's round, you get a bright red ball of light that just sort of moves across the room, which is absolutely gorgeous. I personalised it by putting in small details that either meant something historically to me or to people I knew. The sink in the bathroom, for instance, is a lump of Purbeck from Dorset. I used to go down there as a child and climb, and there wasn't a sink here when I came. As an environment for work as well as living, it works very well, this space. But being a photographer, obviously wide open spaces are vital. You need to get a long way away from your subject, so it's the perfect studio. And yet it integrates quite well with being the perfect home.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It may look lovely, but does it work as a home? Find out what we think about Tim's Bakery after the break. Welcome back. So what's the verdict on Tim's Bakery? Well, he's clearly thrilled with what he's done. What do you think?
It's an old commercial space, and it still feels very much like a commercial space, which is fine. But all this kind of, I'm anti-design, I'm not going to get the MDF out and the spray paint. I mean, just relax and have some fun with it.
Anyone who has ever watched Flashdance would see this and just be there in their leg warmers and all ready. It's just fantastic. This is my dream space.
It's the ultimate live-work space, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
But it would be the envy of every single Londoner, and the only excuse to have a space like this would be to have it as live and work.
Well, exactly. He's a photographer, so there's lots of space for him to take photographs in. But is it really a home? I mean, it's completely open plan. My concerns, therefore, are heating, sound.
I thought about the heating. He's got a lot of radiators. If you look at the number of radiators on here, there's radiators all the way down this. It's going to be quite warm, this space. And the other thing is that the colours in this, unlike most people's treatment of this type of space, where they have limestone floors and white walls and bright lights, he's been really quite aggressive and natural with it.
What about this sink? Oh, I went to Dorset. And I used to go there as a child.
Meow.
So I'm going to have a sink made of Purbeck stone, which is actually quite a nice sentiment, and I wholly approve of that. But what about kind of soapy whiskers getting stuck in these little
but
pits?
Naomi, grab the concept. The guy's talking about this is a London space. It's a warehouse. It's meant to look like he's in there and he could be gone tomorrow.
And for a space this big, it feels like a home.
Yeah.
He has respected the original building, and you can see it coming through, and he's kept all the best bits. But I think what he's put into it is actually terribly affected.
It's bohemian lifestyle, isn't it? It's true.
Oh, we're going to have to move on from here. We'll be judging Tim's Bakery along with the other two houses at the end of the programme. But Naomi, what's the last conversion?
Well, our next owner believes that transforming an old cattle barn to a 1920s inspired home quite literally pulled him back to life.
A home in the Lancashire countryside, where our preconceptions of rural life end at the front door. Architect Carl Zaldat always dreamt of designing a home for himself and his wife. The couple bought their barn for £60,000, and it's taken them 2 years and a further £160,000 to make it into a home. The simple but functional interiors are inspired by the 1920s Art Nouveau architect Rennie Mackintosh, and also by the 19th century arts and crafts movement. Downstairs, rooms flow one into another, and where practical are open plan with mezzanine balconies. Upstairs is a guest room next to a master suite with its own bathroom, dressing room and office.
We are Carl and Janet Zaldats, and what we have created is an integral home where everything has a purpose. For the past 5-6 years I've been clinically diagnosed as manic depressive, and this barn was actually designed at the height when I was really bad with depression, and in one sense it enabled me to vent everything that I wanted to do into something like this.
The barn gave Carl something at the time that he was low to really throw himself into, and to see just how much he was putting into it day after day, and really getting something back out of it.
What I wanted to try and do was to create a contemporary home which integrated all the furniture we've obtained over the years, so they all became an integral part, a complete concept for a home. This room was always been designated as a lounge due to its orientation, nice lots of sunshine. And there's a few features in here, like the existing beams and the trusses, which we've left as original. We've done nothing at all with them, sort of as a contrast to the contemporary bits, including the contemporary, the balustrade into the gallery, which is to our bedroom. And then there's the big fireplace, which is a reproduction of Mackintosh's own fireplace, which in his house, and the hearth being literally the heart of the home. It's a nice central piece to the lounge. One thing we don't like people classing us is being obsessed by Mackintosh or whatever. We are not obsessed. I mean, we appreciate Mackintosh, and what we've not done is create a house of Mackintosh. This is our house.
Because we've got a lot of reasonably expensive pieces of furniture, you can't possibly keep matching that all the time. But we've also found some quite common garden pieces of lighting and furniture that look just as good, and it's being able to spot the pieces that are good basic design that look just as good. I think we both love the home so much. It's come from the heart and inside us, what we both really enjoy to look at and live with, and we both feel so happy here. It really is the culmination of a dream.
What it is I have created was born out of circumstance, to break the glass and release the dreams. It is about the way I feel, what I feel, why I feel, and it exists so the tears will never be lost in the rain.
Well,
God, you've got to admire them. He's
Well,
really...
why put it in a barn?
But
then?
he really understands about Macintosh. Macintosh was essentially an artist who became a furniture designer and an architect who was hugely influential, and I think that we've got to judge this in the light of that.
I think it's an incredibly sort of cold, contrived space that bears no relationship to the original barn, and certainly no relationship to what I assume is its rural location.
who says what goes in a barn?
There's no rules.
There's no rules.
To have the chance to indulge in redesigning something like
Yeah,
this.
look at the detailing. Look at the banisters. The banisters on the staircase. Even that, he's followed through, and they're right.
And the colours that are completely consistent with it, the black,
Yeah.
the white, the soft creams, the pale pinks in it. Wonderful.
But I just wonder what you all think about him having a stove that is a replica of Rennie Mackintosh's in his house. It's rather like sort of owning a pair of Elvis's spare sideburns or something. It's rather fanatical, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you'd have to own it, the entire Elvis, I think. When you put it in with its entirety of a building that is Mackintosh-esque, let's say, it works. And they have been consistent and dedicated. But what is rather clever about it is how they've given it a modern application as well. No, they haven't denied. They've put a proper modern kitchen in and made that work with Mackintosh's pieces, and that blends quite well.
Could have been more Mackintosh with the kitchen.
Well, how clever!
This looks like a fairly ordinary kitchen to me.
Oh no, there's something quite special about that kitchen actually.
What's special about it?
I like the combination of the steel and the wood, and how they've made it look like. Can I show you? It's with the sort of almost the legs, the drops that go through it. There's a nice shape and thought. It's quite deliberate as a design. It's not just been thrown at that space. The one thing I feel like he's missed out upon is the bedroom, which he seems to have not done here. When you sight a bed in a room, it's quite nice to put a hanging behind it, which really sort of sets the bed up nicely into a space, and he's not done that.
I think it would also give this home a warmth that is so lacking to my mind.
That is the man's passion. And love of Mackintosh, and he's wanted to indulge in playing with it, and he's done it very well.
It's time to give our scores for the 3 properties. So the first house is the fishing net house on the east coast of Scotland. Naomi, how many points have you given that?
I've given it 22 out of 50 for look. I think it's a good effort. I like the way they've got the big picture window and they've thought about getting the views into the other parts of the space. And lifestyle, I've given it 25.
There's a failed by furniture issue again, I'm afraid. So 25 on look. Lifestyle, well, it works, it's great. So lifestyle, 25 again, so that's a total of 50.
I've only given it 17 for the look because it's carried by the view. And I've given it 22 for the lifestyle because I can see how a family would enjoy all that space. So the second property is the converted bakery in North London. Daniel?
I got quite excited about that look. I grabbed the concept. I'm going to give that 30 on the look. Lifestyle, again, it's working for him. And so, again, 30.
Well, I've given it 25 for the look. But I've given him 40 for lifestyle because it's just such a nice space to live in.
Well, I've given it 20 out of 50 for the look, because it is a fantastic factory space, and I've given it 15 out of 50 for lifestyle.
Right, well, finally, the number 3 is the 1920s barn inspired by Mackintosh. I'm giving it 28 out of 50 for the look because the amount of effort is immense. And I'm giving him 28 for the lifestyle because I think this absolutely suits this couple.
I've given it 14 out of 50 for the look because I think it's terribly contrived. There's no sense that this interior is in a barn, and there's no sense of this lovely rural exterior, what I imagine to be as a rural exterior. And 25 for the lifestyle.
It's a difficult one, this one. I can see the effort and the understanding of Mackintosh and his fascination with it, and I admire that hugely. 25 for the look. Lifestyle, it functions well. It's a functional house. There's no question about it. So I'm going to give it 27.
So let's have a look at how things are standing. In third place today with 136 points is the Fishing Net House. Doing slightly better with 147 points is the 1920s Barn. But top of today's houses with 160 points is the Old Bakery. Let's compare these to yesterday's conversions. Well, the Fishing Net House only makes it to 6th place, just behind the 1920s Barn in 5th. But just making it into the top 3 is the Old Bakery, with the Showman's Wagon and the Minimalist Barn. On tomorrow's programme,